Alrighty, welcome everybody to the exit video, I should say, for our 2022 season. We had a new champion in our third year, and he actually made it up from our wildcard league. So he has won 2 consecutive leagues in a row to get to this point and beat us all before we could win one. So congrats to John. We will look at the playoff tree here. We had a couple early upsets in our fantasy football tree this year. The first 2 seeds went down in the first round. Of course, there's no bye weeks in our league because we have 8 teams that make the playoff out of our 12. John whooped on Patrick in the first round, kind of whooped on Dylan in the second, and then whooped on Corey in the third. So yeah, John, it was never really in doubt. Surprising that someone in their first year would come back and take it all. But that's why fantasy football is so great. You know, you never really know who's going to win and who's going to flop in the playoffs. Being the 1 seed and having 10 wins on the year. Not me, you know. That's not something I would do personally. But anyways, so yeah, another great year for us. We had a lot of interesting things happen in our wild card league this year. Ben is coming up, got first place, so he won couple $100, and he is moving up to our league. If anybody doesn't know Ben, he is a commissioner of I think a couple leagues. He's in one of my favorite leagues that I'm in. We do a live draft every year. And he will be very, very competitive. Not just because he's a good fantasy manager, but because the team he is taking over has 2 second-round picks, and I am not looking forward to that at all. But yeah, so we had our exit survey once again. Every year we have this exit survey done. Just, you know, fantasy football can get stale. So I always try to think of what I could change, you know, what could be different. And I don't want to obviously make the decision myself. Corey is now our co-commissioner as well. So it's really good for me to have feedback from everybody, you know, to have everybody's opinion, just so I am not forcing my hand what I want to happen on our league. And that's it, really. You know, I just want everybody to continue to have fun. I want to continue to have this go every year. Now that this is the end of our 3rd season in the Lombardi League. First year, Corey won it. Last year, Brian won it. And this year, John won it. So I'm still trying to get my name on that trophy. I know everybody else is too. So congrats to John, he won. I don't want to talk about it. I'm just kidding. He did a really good job. He had a lot of good players. He made some bad moves, in my opinion. He traded away Cooper Kupp and Josh Jacobs to me, and I somehow still lost in the first round. So such is life, you know. So yeah, let's start going over all the questions I had on our exit interview. The first one is, I would like for us to all to do a live in-person draft next year, one way or another. There's a couple different ideas floating around there. I haven't really talked in depth about the Ford Field idea. I'll go into a little bit there. Will be a little bit more money, of course. It'd be like $100 per person on top of our league fees. I could do an in-house, I guess I should say in apartment draft party here at my home in Grand Rapids, which would be totally fine. I would love to do that as well. I just really want us to all get together. You know, that's kind of the point of me doing these exit surveys. We don't all live in the same area anymore, so it's one of those things that I can keep us all connected. So our 3 options were go to Ford Field, Grand Rapids, or stay away from me, which I kind of put in as a joke, but at the same time, it is technically still a pandemic, and some people may not be comfortable or can't miss work. You know, that's simply put, they can't miss work. They can't risk getting sick. I haven't had COVID yet, so thank you. But yeah, so it looked like it was a pretty even split here. 5 out of the 12 of us wanted to do either the Ford Field idea or the Grand Rapids idea, and 2 of them put stay away from me, and they might have put that as a joke as well, which is, I set myself up for that. But yeah, so I'm going to kind of reach out to everybody throughout this next coming year just to see how they're feeling, if they can financially do it. Because I think $100 is a decent amount to put into a fantasy league, but 200 is kind of a stretch for some. And I don't know, depending on how the night goes, you might have to try to get a hotel, hang out in Detroit. You don't want to just come down, do the draft and leave. That would kind of be lame. So I totally understand that it'd be a lot more difficult for some people. And it's a 4-hour drive for the majority of this league. It's a 2-hour for me from Grand Rapids. But yeah, I guess to go a little bit more in depth with the Ford Field deal. So yeah, so it'd be $100 a person. It would cost us about $1,200. I'm not sure if we would get a suite or what we would get, but we would get, I believe, free food and 2 drink tokens, I guess. So you'd get 2 drinks for free out of the deal. Yeah, got the free food. Pretty sure they give us a draft board. We're in a football stadium. It'd be kind of a cool environment to kind of check out and kind of do 1 year, see if it's worth doing again. If not, we can always go bare bones and just have it at a house, But yeah, so yeah, the main highlights of that, you're at Ford Field. Pretty cool. A couple free drinks. I believe food is free. And then, I did forget, they give everyone a home ticket to a game as well. So you're getting a lot for your $100 in that regard. I couldn't tell you what game it would be. I don't know if they just do it as the first game of the year every year, or if we get to pick. I do not have any information on that. I would have to get more information. But yeah, just something to think about. Obviously not everybody's a Lions fan, so it's not as cool to some as it would be to me. I'm wearing my Lions shirt today, but yeah, so it's something just to think about. Again, I'm gonna reach out to everybody, see how they're feeling. All right, next question. Our current starting roster is as follows. We only start 8 players. Most leagues have the kicker and the defense. They start 9. We start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex. 1 flex cannot be a tight end. Would adding an additional player to the starting roster make it more fun or interesting to you? And for me personally, I would love to add the extra wide receiver, just because that's how it is in a lot of my other leagues. We start 3 wide receivers. Given we don't have 2 flexes in my other leagues, but I'm used to starting 3 wide receivers a week and then 1 flex. So to start 3 wide receivers instead of 2, and have 2 flexes, you're just starting 1 more player on your bench. And we don't have kickers or defenses, so it's kind of it's a good trade-off. So since it is tied, literally 50-50, 6 on one side, 6 on the other, I'm going to do a random wheel here to see what we actually do, because like I was saying earlier, I don't want it to be the Kevin show. I want people to have their own input, and I want people to be able to, I don't know, I guess it's to a certain extent claim ownership to the league too, and try hard and everything. Okay, so I'm going to do it 1 time. Whatever it lands on, that's what it's going to be, and that's what we're going to go for next year. All right, so okay, what do we got? Ooh, okay, awesome. Barely, but we are going to add a wide receiver. So next year it will be, our starting lineup will be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end spot, and 2 flexes. And again, one of those flexes cannot be a tight end. So it shouldn't really change the game that much. Some people did not like not having a kicker or a defense, but one of the main reasons I started changing the league up as much as I could is, with your consent, of course, was that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that not a lot of people do. We do half PPR, which is this is the only league I'm in that does half PPR. The 40 points bonuses, or the 40 yard bonuses to scores and to big plays. Yeah, and then, okay, so I'll move on to the next one here. Unfortunately, we had a person booted from the league for non-payment. Although I addressed the issue last season, we feel we have to reiterate your team's spot is not guaranteed until the league dues have been paid. Unpaid teams will not be able to draft and will be replaced. The way I have set these leagues up, the wild card league is a league. It was 12 people 2 years ago. It was 10 this year. It is literally 10 people that want to be in this league, and that are fighting for it to be in our $100 league. So there is some high stakes here, and I get that we're all friends, but if you're really good friends, give me $100. You know what I mean? That's all it really comes down to. Everybody seems to understand that I am not made of money. I cannot just award. I cannot award money that I do not have. All right, and something new for us, something different. I picked the 3 best and worst keepers that I thought people had. So people that thought either Wes had Tom Brady, Dylan had Justin Herbert, or Corey had Tyreek Hill. It looks like half of our league thought that Justin Herbert was the best keeper. So congrats to Ferg. You get nothing really, but you look really good in your pre-draft thinkings. And the worst keeper this year, it was either Brian with Christian McCaffrey, Miller with Calvin Ridley, or Spencer with James Robinson. To talk about all 3 of them. Christian McCaffrey, I think he had a couple good games at the start of the season and then just couldn't stay healthy. James Robinson had a lot of bad games to start the year because the coaching scheme wasn't really helping him out. And then Calvin Ridley just stopped playing. And I think that was kind of that made a lot of more sense to people in our league, because half of us voted for Miller to have the worst keeper, which not his fault at all. You know, it's on paper Calvin Ridley was supposed to have a really big year, but unfortunately, you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of the Atlanta Falcons passing offense. And all the best to Calvin Ridley. If he's saying he's coming back next year, I would consider drafting him. So it's not like a danger zone too much for me in particular. Right, next up, since we are a 12-person league as of last year, we decided as a group to have an 8-team playoff. Excuse me. Everybody seemed to enjoy the playoff. We had one person that wanted to go back to six-team playoff, so the top 2 seeds could get byes. I feel like the 8-team playoff keeps you in it every week. I believe that being one of the top 2 teams should not guarantee you into the second round. I believe that even though that I lost in the first round to an 8 seed, but I think it's cooler that you can say an 8 seed upset a 1 seed than, oh yeah, the 1 seed played either they would play the 6 or 3 seed or something like that. I'm not sure how the seeding works, but that's a wicked upset. That might not ever happen again. Again, it might happen next year. You know what I mean? So, but it's a really cool thing that you get to say happened, and it makes your league a little different. And again, what we're trying to do is keep people interested, keep people active, and I think that's one really good way that we've done it. Next up, in our leagues past, it has always been either the top 6 or 8 teams making the playoffs. If we were to add divisions, we could have more rivalry games, create more chances in our draft lottery for that number 1 pick. It looked like some people were interested in adding divisions, about 4 out of the 12 of us, so 1/3 of us wanted to have 2 divisions of 6 teams. So we would have the top 3 teams in each division making the playoffs, and the next 2 that had the highest point totals would get the next 2 spots in. I do like the idea of having divisions, but also at the same time, I voted with the league majority that said that the top 8 with the best record should make the playoffs, and I do agree with that as well. I hate being one of the bottom 4 in our league, but to not make the playoffs. But at the same time, like what we've already spoke about, it's the top 2 seeds lost in the first round. So a 7 seed and a 8 seed upset the top 2 seeds. It added another layer to our fantasy league this year, and I think that's something we could continue doing going forward here. All right, next play here. I am a Lions season ticket holder, so I do have access to every single NFL home game for the Detroit Lions. I basically just asked if anybody would be interested in getting tickets as compensation, including their pot of money. So currently, instead of them getting the entire $800, they could ask for certain games tickets. Let's say they're valued at $300 to $400. I would just take it out of their pot. So instead of $800, they would get the tickets to a home game and between $400 to $500, which I think it's a pretty cool gig. I'm gonna have the tickets anyway, so it would be very convenient for me personally just to give the tickets and a little bit less money so I can continue to afford Lions season tickets. But again, that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. I'm not going to make everybody take Lions tickets, you know. Again, not everybody is a Lions fan. But it seemed like a lot of us were interested in getting tickets. It was 8 out of the 12 of us. So when you win the league, I will talk to you directly and then we can go from there. I will not shove Lions tickets down your throat. That's not what friends do. All right, something different for us that we could potentially do. There's an option for every team to play 2 matchups per week, one against their weekly opponent and one against the league median. For example, Team A loses to Team B 100 to 112, but the league median score, so all the scores added together divided by 12, was 98. So Team A ends the week 1-1, even though they lost their one-on-one matchup. They were higher than the league median, so they get a win. Team B ends the week 2-0 because he won his matchup and he had the highest points, so he was, of course, higher than the league median. The system helps the above-average scoring team that loses a lot of close matchups or just so happens to score the second highest amount and play the highest scoring team of the week. It looked like a couple people were interested in adopting the system. Two people in the league were interested in it. Just something different, you know. I like to give you guys any options that I can find on the internet that I've seen people do that I know we can do on our Sleeper app as well. But yeah, there was a majority of us that just wanted to keep it the same, 10 out of the 12 of us. So we're going to continue to just play that one matchup every week. Another thing that's completely different to our league that it looks like we are going to adopt is FAB bidding. It's free agent acquisition bidding, free agent bidding, something like that. It's a lot of A's in there. But at the beginning of every season, our waiver system is initially based on our draft order. So if you got the last pick in our draft, you have first waiver priority. If you have the first pick in our draft, you have last in waiver priority. And then it just rolls from there. But in this scenario, free agent bidding adds a fictional salary cap to us. So let's say we get $200 a year. It basically gives every team a shot to get the hottest free agent of the week. Instead of first priority getting their guy, they need to bid a dollar amount on the player itself. And let's say 2 people tied, they bid the same amount, or nobody bid on the player. Then it would revert back to the old system. That would have been whoever had the highest priority would get the player. And it looked like a lot of us liked to try it out. We had 9 out of the 12 of us wanted to do it, and 3 were kind of skeptical of it. And yeah, it's something I do in a couple of my other leagues. It looks like a lot of other people are familiar with it. But yeah, it's something else we could do differently. We can try to make it give someone a competitive edge, you know, give them a little more different of a look. And then my last question I had, just kind of basically me saying, hey, do you have any ideas for the league? How do you think we can make this look better? A lot of people just talked about having a draft party, and I would love to do that. Eliminating IR spots is one thing somebody mentioned. I don't think we're going to do that just because I don't want to drop my second best player because I need someone else to start. You know, we need to have the ability to stash players. Yeah, live draft was kind of the big thing. And yeah, I guess I just have to reach out to everybody on an individual basis because I don't feel comfortable in that being something that I could use the wheel for. I don't think that's something I can make a decision and just say, okay, we're doing it, without asking everybody if they're okay with that financially, if they think they're going to be able to get the time off of work, stuff like that. I don't want, obviously we all love fantasy football, and that's why we're here. But at the same time, I don't want everybody to think that I am forcing them to spend an extra $100. I don't want people to get mad at me. I want people to have fun. I think that's the main thing. And just being considerate, being human, that's pretty much it. Okay, so at this point, our draft order is not set, but it is very close to being set. Currently, let's see, let me take a gander here. Let me pull it up on the old computer here. Okay, so right now we have 115 in there. It is a 12-man league, so I'd like to add 5 more to get us to a 120 even, just because in theory that is 10 per person in the league. I hope everybody understands that and it makes sense to them. But yeah, so let me set this up and we will get started with that. Okay, yeah. So our draft order, again, was at 150. I'm going to do 5 random draws just to see who gets those extra shots. All right, let's go for it. And the first person with an extra ball is Dylan. Next up, looks like, oh my God, Brian's adding to his lead here. All right, so we got 2 so far. It's been Dylan, it's been Brian. Me? Oh, me. Hooray for me. All right. And number 4. One to our newcomer, Ben. Sweet. And last one. So if you haven't gotten one, good luck. Will it be Dylan or will it be John? Looks like Dylan. Okay, cool. All right, so exit full screen. My 5 results, I got Dylan 2 times, Brian, Ben, and myself. Okay, now that we are up to a rounded number of 120, the highest by far, about 5 extra chances over the next highest is Brian. He has a 15% chance with 18 out of the 120 balls in the entire thing. Next up would be myself, 13 out of the 20 with 10.83% chance at that number 1 pick. After that, we have Dylan with an even 10%. He would have 12 out of the 120. After that would be Bino, 11 out of the 120 with a 9.17 chance at having the number 1 pick in back-to-back seasons, which currently has not been done. 10 out of the 120 for Ryan and Wes. That's an 8.33% chance for them. 9 out of the 120 for Miller, Josh Miller, 7.5% chance again, that number 1 pick overall. 8 out of the 120 for Corey and Patrick, 6.67% chance at that number 1 pick. And number 7, we had a 3-way tie with a 5.83%, 7 out of the 120, 5.83% chance. We had a 3-way tie with that, those odds, I should say, with Ben, John, and Spencer. So yeah, guys, if I'm looking forward to next season already. Lions left on end the season on a really good note, so I'm really hoping it's worth having season tickets next year. But yeah, I will be reaching out to everybody directly to talk about if they want to do the Ford Field thing, if they feel more comfortable just coming over here. And then, yeah, we know how to party. We all know how to party. I'm sure we can make it happen regardless. But yeah, guys, to do me a solid favor, like this video, subscribe. I believe I need like 1,000 subscribers to go live on YouTube, and I would rather do our draft order live on YouTube instead of on here. So yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate you watching the video, and hope you have a wonderful 2023, or is it 2022? Have a wonderful both of those years.